Over the last 24 hours, there have been zero Shiba Inu transactions of this type. What does this mean? This is something we haven't seen for a while. What does it mean for Shiba Inu in the near term? That's what I want to discuss with you. So over the last 24 hours, there have been no Shiba Inu transactions of $1 million or more. So this is a period of unusually low trading activity. And this is something that we're seeing throughout the space right now. I think over the last 24 hours, Shiba Inu has had about $181 million in transaction volume, which is low for this time. Now, what this often implies, like this article says, is a temporary dip in liquidity and volatility. And you guys can see that Shiba Inu price has been very, very involatile. All right, I'm trying to remember the word, involatile. And you can see that there's a consistent theme across most of the space. Almost everything over the last 12 hours, you guys can see, is within a 1% variance one way or the other. Doesn't even mean just BTC, it's even alts. We're just not seeing a lot of activity. There's not a lot of push one way or the other. But what this typically means is when we do get to this point, it tends to mean that there is an upcoming volatility spike, a quick movement one way or the other. Eventually, price coils and coils and coils until it decides to make a movement. Now, what also helps push us into this period is this consolidating pattern with all these trend lines converging together, kind of like we talked about yesterday, right? So Shiba Inu is in the process of essentially getting sandwiched between its 20, its 50, and its 100-day moving average. We can see the same thing happening in terms of BTC. I'm sure if we looked across most of the space, we would see this same thing playing out for these other assets. And while this is happening, excuse me, while this is happening, we are very closely following trends. It looks like everything essentially is going to have kind of a slow sideways breakout from here. It's going to be kind of boring, right? It's going to be boring until it's not. This is that part of the market cycle right before things begin to get exciting. Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't the possibility of a dip, because there is, right? Volatility means it can go both ways. It's a question of who wants to push harder one way or the other. Do the bulls want to just say, screw it and buy? Or do the bears say, let's try to drop things lower? That's kind of what we're dealing with. Now, I will say with something like Shiba Inu, we're setting up a very, very strong support down here around that 4022 level. And even further down here, you can see it's trying to stay as far away from its 200-day moving average as possible. And again, really the big thing that is going to be the driver of Shiba Inu price is retail. Does retail get excited enough from this next volatile move that we see, where we see this influx happening again? There's a lot of capital sitting on the sidelines right now. Most people are just waiting. What they're waiting to see is, hey, is this the bottom of our drop? Is this our inflection point in the market where we begin alt season, where we really truly begin running? All right. I know some people have talked about the possibility of a boring summer, and that is 100% possible. All right. In the past, we've had some pretty boring summers. Usually there's a little point around, midsummer, like July, where things start to change a little bit, where things start to accelerate. But there may be some volatile pops along the way, some pumps, some drops. Capital's not even matriculating right now. Everything's just kind of blah and flat and boring. And that's okay. It's not always exciting. All right. There are very, very long periods of boring and very, very short periods of volatility and exciting pumps. So the question is are you prepared for this next move for Shiba Inu? So I appreciate you guys as always. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.